Secretary's note, roll call, please.
David Mick via phone, Pat absent.
All right. Board correspondent report was Pat, so that we will be skipping. Board CESA report. Mick, can you give us a report?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Jeff went all he did was, well, I shouldn't say all he did, but he went over all the programs that the CESA offers as far as, substitute teacher shortages and teacher shortages, especially with the upcoming school year, to make sure that if there's anything out there that districts know that this stuff is available. I'm not going to go over it too much. I believe he sent everyone an email regarding that information. So I'm hoping you all got that, and that's about it.
Okay, questions or anything for Mick? Okay, we will move on to citizens delegation to be heard. I'd like to welcome you to our meeting. It's the first open one we've had in a long time. It's nice to have some input. So we have two people. First one, Shannon Now. Can you please rise and
There, just
we can hear you.
Okay.
So it's-
First of all, I wanted to just say thank you for allowing me to speak here today. I do understand that the policy committee is recommending masks as optional for fall. I just wanted to give my opinion on masking our kids as both a mom and a registered nurse. As I said, I'm a mom and an RN, here to talk about some of the negative effects that masks are having on our kids. First of all, the kids are not the ones affected by SARS-CoV-2. According to the CDC, the mortality rate for kids less than 20 years old in COVID is near zero. Those that are most affected, and I have seen this in my own practice, are over the age of 65 with comorbidities, mostly obesity and diabetes. One of the ways that has been promoted to stop the spread of this virus is through the use of universal masking. And I would like to expand on just a few reasons as why I believe masks do not only work, but are causing much more harm than many people do realize. A recent German study on masks in the Journal of American Medical Association has shown that masks do increase the CO2 levels in kids. The researchers found that wearing a face mask causes kids to inhale dangerous levels of CO2 that can become trapped behind the mask. Specifically, the masked children inhaled more than 6 times the safe limit for closed rooms as set by the German Federal Environmental Office. The effect was much worse for younger kids, with one 7-year-old that was inhaling air that was more than 12 times the safe limit. Signs of this mild to moderate increased CO2 levels include shortness of breath, daytime sluggishness, headaches, daytime sleepiness, and anxiety. Another study of over 25,000 kids showed that 68% reported adverse effects from wearing the face mask, such as feeling short of breath, dizziness, and an unwillingness to move or play. What kind of damage is this doing to the developing brains of our kids? Another article in the Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health presented an analysis of several different studies, which did show a significant correlation with oxygen level decrease and fatigue. My daughter has experienced some of the negative effects of masks firsthand. In the beginning of the school year, my daughter called my husband 3 times in the first semester to pick her up because she felt dizzy and had a headache, which is very unusual for her. She reported feeling like she couldn't breathe with her mask on. At the semester, we did choose to move her to virtual 3 days a week because of the masking, even though she does need to be in person for her social reasons. I ask of you, will you as a school district maintain liability if a student were to pass out while wearing a mask and exercising and thus sustains a head injury? My son was punished last year by a teacher because he had his mask under his nose because he couldn't breathe. Since when is it against the rules to breathe fresh air? He was made then to sit by the wall at recess for 10 minutes. This is not okay. Since schools have universally mandated masks, there have been physical ramifications as well to kids. I have seen kids personally with skin problems such as impetigo and staph infections around where the mask sits on the face. Kids are always touching objects, touching the face, using the bathroom, touching the face. The masks have the potential to be full of bacteria and other pathogens. In fact, a group of parents in Florida sent in 6 face masks that their kids had worn in school to a lab. The results found were very shocking. 5 of them were contaminated with bacteria, parasites, fungi, including 3 with dangerous pathogenic and pneumonia-causing bacteria, which includes tuberculosis, pneumonia, meningitis, sepsis, E. coli. The bacteria causes Lyme's disease, diphtheria, Legionnaire's disease, staphylococcus, and other antibiotic-resistant bacterial pathogens. In addition, other less dangerous pathogens were identified, including those that cause fevers, ulcers, acne, yeast infections, strep throat, and periodontal disease, among others. The bacteria do like to thrive in warm, moist environments, which is what we're making when we make our kids mask up for 7 hours a day. Not only do masks have physical ramifications, but they also have shown to negatively affect kids socially, emotionally, and psychologically. Young kids and those with disabilities need to read facial cues of others in order to respond and learn how to interact. The kids can't see their friends smiling and laughing. I truly believe this is a very huge detriment to our kids and is part of the rise in suicide rates in teens and young adults. Over the past year, kids have been made to fear their friends, fear hugging or high-fiving their friends, or even fear of helping a classmate who dropped an object. I truly believe this is a very long-lasting effect that will take a lot of effort to overcome. A constant state of fear increases the cortisol levels of an individual, which can lead to conditions such as obesity, diabetes, sleeping disorders, among others, all conditions that are likely to happen in those that are in a constant state of fight or flight, especially kids. If you choose to mandate masks for the unvaccinated, I do ask you please take these points into consideration. Masking the unvaccinated will show a visual cue to others that they are not vaccinated and will serve as a scarlet letter, so to speak, to socially ostracize those that are not vaccinated. I really do believe that bullying will, both verbally and physically, will increase as well. And I know that teachers and staff may not always be able to observe these interactions. Some kids cannot be vaccinated due to personal, medical, or religious exemptions. Should these kids be treated any differently? This also leads to the concern over HIPAA and privacy concerns for their medical information. Segregating kids based on vaccine status will only serve to increase the turmoil of our kids. Not only will this segregation of unvaccinated versus vaccinated increase tension in the school, but I also believe it will increase tension in the community among parents and community members. What the children hear at home, they're likely to repeat in other areas of their life, and I believe this will prove to be the beginning of major turmoil in our community. How many suicidal thoughts are you willing to let happen as a direct result of masking and potentially segregating those that are vaccinated versus unvaccinated? How many kids are you willing to let fall behind because they can't concentrate on their schoolwork, because they're too distracted about peer retaliation before, during, or after school? Studies have also shown that those that are at greater risk of dying from COVID-19 are those that have comorbidities, especially diabetes and obesity. Why are we talking constantly about masks and vaccines and not talking about how to make our kids healthy? Things such as being outside, increasing vitamin D levels, eating fresh fruit and vegetables, decreasing obesity, exercising, avoiding sugar, sleeping well, and reducing stress have all been proven ways to help one strengthen their immune system to fight off any kind of virus. In my opinion, these things should be the focus because there will always be bacteria and viruses around us. It is how our immune system responds to those viruses that will determine the outcome of the disease. Why isn't there more education in the classroom on these things? What about having a yoga class or meditation class in school to help the kids deal with and decrease their stress? What about banning sugary drinks and treats in school? What about a cooking class to try different kinds of fruits and veggies? Respectfully, I am urging you to think about the social, physical, and emotional toll that masks are having on our kids. The guidance from the CDC and the AAP is just that, it's guidance. They're not laws. Please use your best judgment and ask yourself if we're causing more harm to our kids than the virus itself. Viruses and bacteria will be around us forever. When will this end? Will our kids have to mask up every school year? I do believe that kids have suffered enough in the past year and a half, and it's time to go back to normal, not the new normal. Please allow parents to allow full medical freedom of choice for our children and keep mandates out of what should be an educational-based school policy. I ask that you support a family's individual rights to choose what is right for their family's psychological and physical health. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. We always like hearing what our community is thinking.
Thank you.
We also have Katie.
Hi, my name is Katie. I thought I'd introduce myself. Katie Strutz. I'm going to be the new librarian, and I'm so excited. Currently, I've been working at the elementary school, getting that ready for the school year to start. I'm kind of cleaning up just a little bit, and then we are adding more books as we speak. I've also been working a little bit at the high school, getting that ready, helping to pick out paint and carpets and other stuff like that too. But I'm very excited to serve the community of Algoma.
And we are very excited to have you.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, as always, you are totally welcome to stay for the whole meeting. You also can leave if you choose after this. Okay. Moving on, board president announcements. I guess the only thing. What? Hello? Was that through the phone? I don't know, we received the regional meeting and workshop notification in the mail. They say the Green Bay one is October 6th, so that's something we can be thinking about. As I guess that's still a few months away, so we can see how we feel about that one. Otherwise, I'm just very pleased that we're back to open meetings and can interact in a little bit more personal level with people. Moving on to administration reports. Nick.
I'll start with the summer projects update. If you obviously when you walked in, you saw lots of things, but I promise the upstairs looks great. It's all done. So once we obviously get the first floor back put together, it'll be a wonderful thing. So the new lights and all the new ceiling tiles and all that will be a welcome addition. And obviously none of that gets done without a great team of people that are really, again, making sure that everything is best as it possibly can be. And then we're going to mix in a bunch of contractors that are extremely busy this year because everybody has lots of different projects going on. And then just overall on the outside of things, I encourage you to, take a look around. We had a little, I would say, photo shoot for some upcoming marketing, things like that today. And I gave a ton of credit to Mrs. Lemberger. The garden outside and her flowers and everything are just, everything's in full bloom right now. So it's very beautiful. So lots of great things going on. Transportation update. We were able to get our new bus. So I know some of you were able to take a look at that. It gives us 3 of the exact same buses and then 1 with our ADA compliant bus. So that will be probably the next bus that we will transition out of the fleet, and we'll get one obviously with those same pieces of equipment on. But from last year at this time, that's quite the swing for our school district to take on transportation. We did it extremely well, and it certainly was a great move for us. So that new staff introduction, obviously welcome. There's a number of new teachers as well, and I think what we'll do is we'll have them come in during teacher in service because that's when our next board meeting is anyway, so we can have a little bit more robust of a group. But overall, in general, we've kind of, it's been an interesting trail this year with hiring. I know when we started, it was really frustrating because we would get people to sign on and then a month later they would back out and so on and so forth. But we have a really nice mix of people, some people coming in with tons of experience, looking for an entirely different feel and culture. And then we have a lot of new people that bring a lot of exciting things to our district. So I know Katie has, a great team assembled for the elementary, and I feel, excited for Katie's team up here as well. So I don't directly do too much of that anymore, but it's nice to see people that are complementary to our culture, and that's a good thing. That's all I got.
All right, questions or comments for Nick? Hearing none, we'll move on. Katie, survey.
All right. Well, Katie Strutz so kindly introduced herself already, but I had invited her here today because she and I have begun working already this summer. I would say mid-June, I think that was. Katie just kind of dug right in. If you happen to walk through the elementary library right now, you'll notice books everywhere. She's weeding through the books, making sure we have the most up-to-date information in our library, getting rid of some old titles that are a little dated. She's switching around some of the sections to organize the library a little bit better, books on display,
She's had some help from her mom was here today. She had some library friends here. So she's just really been putting in a lot of hours to make sure that we're up and ready for the school year. Another thing I wanted to point out that I think is commendable is that Katie has already started making connections with staff in the building. So she's done some story time with our childcare kids. She has our Jumpstart classes coming in and checking out books that they're returning on a regular cycle, just like they would during the school year. So she's really just kind of all in. It's been a huge, huge positive already, and they're, you know, we haven't even started. So thank you, Katie, for such a positive first couple of weeks here, and I really look forward to some of the work that we'll do together. So, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add about some of the things that you are looking for. I mean, we've had conversations of all different things, from like a grand reopening of the library because it was closed most of the year last year for staff. We talked about that for students. We've talked about, you know, ways that she can connect with teachers, just kind of comprehensively, you know, where is our library program going? What is the purpose of our library? At the elementary school specifically, but also, you know, I know she has her gears going already about the library here. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And there'll be more information about that coming with any changes or exciting initiatives or innovative things that Katie.
It's a beautiful space in that new addition, the elementary library. So I'm excited that it's going to be utilized.
And one of the things that she said to me was library should be the focus of the school. She said, so, you know, if I'm in there with the class, it doesn't mean nobody else can be in there. So she is like, she's all about that, which I really appreciate, which she'll be a wonderful addition to the Algoma School District.
You can't see the smiles behind these guys. We have two board members that have librarian and school librarian media, whatever backgrounds here, so they are very excited.
And then along with Katie, we're welcoming other staff members, new staff members to the elementary school. More information coming on that, but we did fill obviously the elementary special ed position, which I don't know if Marie's going to talk about. And then also Spanish and EL support, we did fill that as well. So a lot of newness, but it's really, really good. And I feel like certain things are aligning and connecting and kind of coming together for all good reasons. And then really kind of going into the beginning of August here, and that's when things kind of start to pick up. There's been a lot of teachers at school this summer, more than usual, especially in July. Usually July is very quiet, but it's very, very busy. Jumpstart is wrapping up this week. We've had a handful of students and staff here for that. Our PLC leaders have started meeting on a regular basis again, so we're just kind of gearing up and getting ready to go for the new school year and what that brings. So
Great. Questions or comments for Katie? All right, hearing none. Katie Horn, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I just have two quick things. I wanted to welcome two of our new staff as well. They will be there at the next meeting, but we did hire on Elizabeth Klumpian as our EL coordinator. Very, very, very excited to have this young and super eager and has a lot of really great ideas.
You're fading in and out.
And sorry. And then our second hire is the special ed teacher for middle school, high school. Her name's Kimberly Carmody. She's actually a parent of a student who just graduated this year, and she was working in Green Bay, and she's got a lot of experience in the position she'll be in, so I'm excited to have her on board. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was the two dates for our orientation. So we will have 7th grade orientation on August 19th from 8 to 9:30. And then 9th grade orientation that same day, August 19th from 10 to 11:30. And I know parents will be getting letters in the mail, but I just wanted to mention that at this meeting as well.
Okay. Questions or comments for Katie Horn? We'll move on to business managers, finance bulletin report. That would be you, Jason.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure if I was gonna be here or not, so, the letter is sort of prepared, I'm traveling back from Yellowstone, just in case I didn't make it back, Nick was gonna, cover, but I'm here. So, basically, let's say that'd be 2 weeks ago, we completed, the auditors, the auditor here, completed their, stuff, and they'll be preparing our financials, for later on. Equalized aid, for the 21-22 school year, was published. So they have to publish that, July 1st. So at the bottom, you can see, where we fall with our equalized aid, and along with, surrounding school districts. So, last year's equalized aid was $4,610,834. This year's equalized aid is $4,856,369. So that was, that would be a slight increase. And as everyone knows, that doesn't mean we actually receive those funds. It just changes the balance of what we actually receive. So that's the key point. I did attach DPI's explanation of equalized value on the front there. So in case someone needs to refresh what equalized aid is and how it works, it's right on the front there. Attached behind is the budget position for this month. Obviously, we also started a new school year or a new funding fiscal year. There's not too much activity. So the right-hand side column, but as the months progress, you'll see more activity there.
Questions or comments for Jason? I think we're good. Welcome back. I'm glad you had a nice vacation.
Thank you.
Special ed report, another welcome back. Marie.
This is gonna be super brief because I'm just coming back into the reality of things. Katie Horn is getting me up to speed on what we're doing for the audit for special ed this summer and kind of into the beginning of fall. Broken record, super excited about all of our new hires, especially in the special ed department, both at the elementary and the middle school, high school. And then Andrea Phillips is getting us all set up for our annual CPI training for the nonviolent crisis intervention and prevention. So really, that's all I have. Excited to be back. You have no idea.
Are you sleeping through the night yet?
No.
Okay. Moving on then, if there's no questions for Marie. To Teal with Algoma monthly update.
One thing I wanted to note is we have a few youth graduates that have been part of our Live Algoma engagement over the years who are now adults, and it's just really interesting how they are calling or connecting or engaging back with us saying, I am working at such and such place, and how do we do what we did in Algoma here? And I think we probably have about 5 examples today of youth that have graduated and have gone out and are now in Green Bay or wherever they are, that are really thinking about what the opportunities were in Algoma and how they can impact change in their own communities that they serve now. So that's just something that I think we take for granted, or at least I do, and it's just nice to hear. We're working with the city of Algoma on welcome packets. We do welcome packets for new families that come and register in our district, but we're doing this broadly for anybody, any new member of our community, to welcome them and show them all of the offerings that our community has. So we will be putting the Wolf Review that just was sent out in that packet, as well as information about the All-America City Award and the Culture of Health Award, so that they, are acclimated to our culture here in Algoma. At the end of August, we will have an article by the Associated Press or US News. They reached out to us in regards to how we are thinking differently about mental health and what that means and how we are serving youth, but also our community members in that. So I know at the last board meeting or a couple of board meetings, we talked about how we need to redefine mental health and what that means, especially support at the state level. And they were asking questions about our Bulletin after school program, our mentorship program, our community youth advocate position, our mobile resource center, and most specifically the Connect the Dots program. I think we just had a state presentation. They were very interested in the Connect the Dots program. And then as far as a national US News, they're very, very interested in that and how they can shine light on things that school districts like Algoma are doing to think differently beyond mental health therapy, our on-site therapists that we have and most of those traditional approaches. So I wanted to just plug that in, that we're, it's great to be recognized just even beyond the region and the state for our good efforts. And I'll definitely share that out with all of you when it comes.
So that will be published in what format?
US News
Okay.
by the end of August.
Okay.
We'll have some links to that.
Great.
They were really interested. They asked for an example of the Connect the Dot program, and I did talk about an example that just bubbled up when we had a tour from Michigan with one of our 14-year-old students and a member of the Algoma United Methodist Church, and just their connection across ages and identities and experiences, how they have this, just to care for one another and what that has been doing for both of them individually and their mental health, being connected and building relationships. So they might do a follow-up story specifically on that.
Wonderful. Questions or comments relating to the Algoma? Okay, then we'll move on to Algoma Venture Academy.
For the state of Wisconsin, by July 30th, we had to have like 7 points of readiness. It's a big deal for us, just due mostly because we have received about $500,000 in grants for our charter school, which is really amazing and wonderful. But then that also brings a lot of work, right? Because this is federal money, so there's some work to be done to ensure that, our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, and we can ensure that we have access to those funds. So we did have a one-on-one meeting with DPI, and we're just rock stars. It was a great they said that, truthfully, I was like normal, probably over paranoid about it, but they have, they just said they suspect that we'll be the first charter school in Wisconsin this year to have access to our funds, that we're just doing a really great job and very pleased with the process. And, usually most people open up with a planning grant and then go into implementation, and we went nope, we're opening it up. So thanks to Mr. Koshart and his encouragement of, having us just get the work done that needs to be done. So I just want to say kudos to everybody that's been helping with that. And I'll let the committee talk more about what that is when it's their time. We have 20 students enrolled, or I shouldn't even say the term enrolled, but we have 20 students that applied at this given time. And the reason I don't say enrolled is because if we have 21 more students before August 30th, then we'd have to go to a public lottery. So we have 20 students apply. We've been meeting with parents and guardians right now. That's been really fruitful, because I think even though we have students that are signing up, parents still have other questions. And truthfully, most of the questions are about what even a charter school is. There's definitely rumblings in Algoma and beyond, and people don't know. And I think we have a lot of education to do. I think, you as board members and myself included, and admin and staff, parents, we have a lot of education to do. And I want to just publicly say one of the biggest frequently asked questions is, what is the difference between Pathfinder Academy and Algoma Venture Academy? And I can totally understand the complexity of that, because they both end with academy. And I think traditionally when we hear academy, we think charter school. The biggest difference that I could say to keep it simple is that Pathfinder Academy is not a public charter school. The reason it's not is because students that attend there, that decision is made internally with parents and guardians, students, internal staff, admin. It is a 7 through 12 learning pathway, but it is an internal decision, meaning it's not public, meaning not everybody can apply and attend Pathfinder Academy. Students that go to Pathfinder have individualized learning, yes, but most of the reason why our students go there is because maybe coming to school in a big school like this is a trigger for them. Class size could be a trigger. There's lots of different reasons why they might need an off-campus site. Algoma Venture Academy is a public charter school, meaning we are registered with the state of Wisconsin. We are an instrumentality, which means we work in coordination with the school district. So the school board is still our school board. We do have our own governance board, and that allows us to have autonomy to innovate and try things out and test and fail forward. And that's what we're going to do this year with the charter school. Anybody can apply to the charter school, anybody 7 through 12. If they apply, they need to enroll into our district as a student. They are students of the district. They still have access to all the same things that our students do, like extracurricular and transportation and the food program, Chromebooks, but anything that would be, unique to a project that they're working on would be unique to a Venture Academy. So same credit obtainment, just a very different way of obtaining their credits, so that we can ensure that the district, we're providing learning opportunities for all types of learners, which I think we do very well. So just wanted to hit that a little bit because that's been a frequently asked question.
Yeah, it's project, it's more project-based.
Project-based, hands-on learning. It's really the work we've been doing the last 5 to 7 years with youth in this 7 through 12 building specifically, where they're engaged beyond the classroom, engaged beyond the school walls, and we're giving them a way that they can get credit while doing that work. So if they start an after-school program like Wolf Den that's nationally recognized, how can they get credit in English for presenting in front of grant funders and communicating through grants and that sort of thing. So we are just providing an additional pathway for our students.
And I think another thing that people don't understand is that those students still have access to the other courses.
Correct.
If one of the other academic courses is appropriate for their particular project-based situation, they will take that class as well as others. So it's just
Yeah, we have
tailored.
students that really are really into our hydroponic and garden and all of that stuff. So they might need some, to attend, we call it the legacy school, but our traditional pathway, and take extra science classes because they're going to go in that field. Or math is one topic that we bring up a lot. Sometimes it's hard to align math learning targets or standards to a project. So we do have an online program called Alex Math that our students can take. Lots of charter schools in Wisconsin use that program, but they can also take math in the traditional setting if they prefer to have a math teacher there to help guide them along the way.
And the
So
students
there
are
are
held to the
options.
same standards. They have to have the same standards to graduate that any
Correct.
other kids in the class. Yeah, very exciting. Other questions or comments relating to charter school? Okay. Moving on to committee reports. We had a lot of committees. We'll start with public relations marketing. Yeah.
Okay, I want to again tell Teal about the publication that went out. It was wonderful. I think it answered a lot of questions out there. Great job. And I know you said you didn't do it yourself. There was a whole group of people that did it, but there's a push behind that. Our committee met and we discussed Jason's proposal, and we recommend that the board engage in with him. So that would be one of the action items.
Okay. Any questions for Ann? Okay, policy and practice. I know that's of a lot of interest to a lot of people, given the current climate of the world. The main discussion item in our policy and practice was the COVID mitigation strategies that we wanted to employ this year. Last year, of course, we didn't have any option for vaccinations, so thankfully this year with vaccinations, there's a little different emphasis that we can look at. We can look at other strategies. Because as was pointed out in our presentation today, there are pros and cons of everything. And one of the things is, you want to see the faces, I mean, but we also, our basic imperative is to try and keep our students and our staff safe. So it's always a balance. We do the best we can. What the committee, the policy and practice committee meeting discussed and what we are recommending is basically optional masking. So that is how we will open the school, with optional masking, but with the caveat of we are going to be monitoring the incidents, not necessarily going by community incidents, because that doesn't always reflect what's happening in our school. We're going to be looking at what's happening in our school, so we don't overreact to anything unless it actually affects us. But we will be careful with that, because we are, the last thing we want to do is spread a virus or get anyone sick. So we are also going to be close contact testing. So if somebody does come up positive, we are going to be trying to take advantage some of what are supposed to be gearing up community resources, where we can send people that have had the close contact to get a quick test locally, hopefully get a very quick result locally, so we're not having to have kids miss school and have quarantines and all of that, so that we can be responsible to not spreading things, but also not overreact and have kids and teachers and everybody out for long periods of time just because they were exposed to somebody that was positive. So that is a little different. We are going to strongly encourage vaccinations and mask wearing to the unvaccinated staff. I think that that's just the responsible thing to do. It's right now there is still a whole group of students that are not even given the option to get a vaccination, and that's any of the kids that are 12 or under. And granted, it's still going to always be up to the families to make the decisions on vaccinations, but especially those groups that are vulnerable, and to appreciate the parents that are concerned about the spread and are going to have their children vaccinated as soon as they possibly can. We have to be balancing that, as well as as the other information that we get. So we will be strongly recommending it, strongly encouraging it. It is not going to be mandated. We are also going to try and work with expanding air filtration. We are sort of testing that out in Jumpstart. One of the things, and anybody in the medical profession that knows, is that we have learned a lot about this crazy virus. We have information now that we didn't have. And one of them is that it's transmissible, it's airborne. And unfortunately, this new variant is apparently even much more transmissible. So we feel that it's our responsibility to look at the air quality in the rooms. So we are looking at trying some portable air filtration systems to be circulating. And we already have, we're lucky that we have already in the schools systems that bring outside air in for that's just the way our systems work. So that's good. Bring outside air in, but we are also, of course, wanting to make sure that the air circulation, if there is something in the air. It was interesting, that there wasn't a flu season last year. Guess why? I mean, it'd be lovely if with air filtration, we can avoid some of that, that happens, especially in the elementary schools. But again, especially in the elementary school, we would like to have air filtration. The recommendation of the committee is having a portable system in the classrooms. If they're portable, they can be moved around. It gives us options to put more in a bigger area or whatever. But that will help, especially with the younger ones that aren't able to keep masks on or have difficulty breathing with them on or other issues. So that was one of the other medication strategies that the committee was recommending. And then we also did discuss transportation masking, and that isn't something that really is our decision yet. That is still federal law. Any vehicle using any roads, just like in the airports and flying and everything, it is still required. So any children, any bus drivers, any coaches are still under law supposed to be wearing masks. So that is not anything we have control of at this point. So that obviously is where we'll be with that. The other thing that came up is because of course we went to the Neola policies, which are standardized policies to make sure that we aren't missing anything in policy, but we can modify them a little bit. We had looked at public participation at the board meetings, and I guess it is under specific items for discussion, but I think I'll just discuss it now since it was part of the meeting. Some of it is not a change. I guess basically the recommended change is to say each individual can speak for 3 minutes. And to specify in there that the topic would be on the restricted to the current agenda. If the topic brought up did not relate to the current agenda, we would then have it, when it was obvious it wasn't for the current agenda, we would then place it for a following meeting. So since it is a policy, those changes need to be talked about now and then would be approved at the next meeting. So no action on that. So if any board member has any feelings on that, you can speak now.
So it's just that part of it, that public participation policy is going to be, well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, everything else about it is just fine. So we just thought that would make things a little bit more orderly and allow everyone to speak. Charter school.
So we had a meeting with Teal and other members of the committee. The point was to look at some contract amendments for the Venture Academy. Ideally, specifically section 5.8A, which is equitable funding, which you should find in your packet. We needed to add part A, correct? Which is all Algoma Venture Academy students will have the same opportunity to access federal funding. The Algoma School District will allocate federal funds for which Algoma Venture Academy and its enrolled students are eligible. That's highlighted, and that will be added to that part of the contract. Second part is deals with section 6.1, the performance evaluations, and the new language will be the performance measures outlined in Appendix D shall be used to evaluate the performance of Algoma Venture Academy. These measures will be one of the most important factors for renewal or revocation of the contract. And that shows up in this Appendix D. You have that as well. So those are the, and it's I'm not going to read through all of that, but that will then provide the complete information for the contract. Correct?
Correct. Right. And again, we are authorizers. Right. Our board is authorizers, so we do have the responsibility of evaluating, and these are the measures that we will be looking at to give us a framework to evaluate, and then of course we would have the power to revoke if we felt they were not meeting the measures, the performance measures that we expect.
And our contract was already approved by both boards. However, because we received federal funds through a grant or are receiving it, we had to ensure that these two things were spelled out clearly in our contract. And we knew that we might be having to do that depending on if we receive the grant. So this is just solely these two sections of adaption are solely because we received federal grant dollars. Which makes sense, because federal grant and performance measures.
Sure. Well, and that's, just a sort of an aside on grants. People have to understand that when you apply for a grant, it's very specific. All that money, all that money is delineated when you get it as to how we can spend it. It's not just suddenly a windfall of money.
Correct.
And then we have to prove we're spending it the way they
Down
said so.
to the nail in the screw, yes. Mhm.
So. Okay, any other questions on private school?
Literally.
Okay, legislative action. We just had a quick meeting before this meeting. Pat was unable to chair it, but we wanted to move forward on what the board had indicated in terms of our resolution that we want to submit to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards for possible consideration for lobbying with the state. And that's all related to mental health services. It sort of goes along with all the crazy finance craziness for school systems. But the bottom line is essentially right now, schools have no mechanism for reimbursement for any mental health services that we offer. And that's because PI 34, which is in subsection 7, with the listed licenses right now, don't have any category that allows us to have reimbursement that we can charge against. So anything we're doing right now, we can't get reimbursement for. So we are writing a resolution basically saying you need to expand those licenses to include mental health. It's obviously an overwhelming need. Our rationale is we would like to be on the early recognition and prevention side versus the acute problem side. And it's, a need in every school district. So we met and we're putting together all the wording, and at next month's meeting, it will be in the form of the resolution, which then we will all need to approve, and then we need to submit it by September to Wisconsin Association for School Board. The other thing we mentioned, because it was a new thing that happened recently, was that once again, at the state level, they decided to come out with some bills that mandate more things to us. And apparently, like so many things, I think there's an intention that's good, but then it ends up being bad. I mean, the intention that I understand for this bill is that reading scores, especially with young groups, are lower. And I don't know, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know exactly what time frame or they were looking at. Obviously, these last couple of years with, with virtual and COVID and all that, I would expect there'd be some issues, and that's part of what all of our federal money to try and help look at those issues is supposed to be for. But this bill mandates a whole lot of extra testing of our 3-year-old through 2nd graders. Like 3 or 4 times more a year, and then writing up plans and having parents sign it, and then submitting things to the state. And that Representative Kitchens is one of the ones that is behind this. And since he is our district, and we are all for local control, we are certainly in favor of recognizing any children that are at risk and are falling behind and want to have a plan. but don't tell us how to do it, and don't make our teachers spend all their time doing paperwork for you at the state, because then we can't teach the kids and then we can't actually meet their needs. So the committee also thought that, especially again, since Kitchens is one of the ones sponsoring the bill, that our district would send a letter to him saying, no, local control, let us address these needs. We're doing a good job. Don't add more mandates to us. So that was another thing discussed at our meeting, and we will be sending a letter out. Okay, we covered the changes to the public participation policy. So I will move to action items. I need a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes of June 28th, 2021, the Public Relations Marketing Committee meeting minutes of June 28th, 2021, the Policy and Practice Committee meeting minutes of July 20th, 2021, and the Charter School Committee meeting minutes of July 22nd, 2021.
I so move.
I'll second.
Motion made by Joanne, second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I need a motion to approve the bills that were presented tonight, as well as those in your packet.
I so move.
I'll second.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Joanne. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the proposal from Jason West as recommended at the June 28th, 2021 Public Relations Marketing Committee meeting.
I will move.
I second.
All right, motion made by Ann, seconded by Jennifer. Questions or discussion on that?
Should it say something, what he's been doing for us?
We'll be doing our web.
But I mean, should it not say?
The proposal, you mean
Okay.
identify the proposal?
I don't
a bit
know,
more?
does it need to be or not?
Or website
Yeah,
redesign.
right.
So we will modify that motion to say proposal for web.
School
Site
school district
redesign?
web, yeah. School district website.
Is that
design,
okay for
please.
the
Yes.
motion and the second?
Yes.
Okay, with that modification, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the Algoma Venture Academy's contract amendments, section 5.8A and section 6.1A, as recommended at the July 22nd, 2021 Charter School Committee meeting.
I so move.
I second.
Motion made by Joanne, second by Jennifer. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the Algoma Venture Academy's performance measures as recommended at the July 22nd, 2021 Charter School Committee meeting.
I so move.
I second.
Motion made by Joanne, seconded by Jennifer. Questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the co-curricular code handbook as presented.
I so move.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jennifer, seconded by Joanne. Discussion? Did somebody have something to add? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the Coaches Advisors Handbook as presented.
I just have a question. On page 14, they talk about what they will allow for meals. I thought we discussed this one time.
You know, I, in terms of for the students, it looked like you raised it for the coaches and it's still lower for the students. I was wondering the same thing. And the date on that looks like that was a lot lower than, a lot
Right.
further back, 7 than what we.
Do you remember that, Jason?
So
You changed
I will
it?
tell you that this is in conflict with an actual policy.
Okay,
So I'm not sure when, but back, we had made the students 8, 10, 16 also.
Okay,
So,
this needs to be revised.
yes, so
Okay,
this
okay.
is, yeah, this is conflict with the policy. Policy wins no matter what, but yes, this probably should reflect that. I mean, basically, we could probably cross out that bottom sentence and just say,
For all of them then,
yes.
coach and athletes.
So we'll pay get rid of, we'll pay, get rid of the coach, just we'll pay $8 for breakfast, 10 for lunch, and 16 for dinner.
Stop there.
Stop there. Good.
Right, and that's for participants in the state tournaments.
Could I also talk about something in the handbook, just on the Adventure Academy level?
Yes.
Okay, just because this is brand new territory. So the whole section of academics needs to be looked at because we do not require grades. We do not monitor our students' success by grades. And so I think we might have to look at that language a little bit to be inclusive of students in Venture Academy. I would offer that it says grades and or succession of learning targets maybe, or completion of learning targets, which would be our language. But we do not follow grades. So I think that'd be very hard for like Dave Robertson to have to monitor that.
So is there a
It would still be based on a recommendation from
Yes.
the lead teacher and yourself.
So
Yeah, it
there's
would still be
no,
based on the same process of like working with the lead educator, but I just wonder if just being, just saying grades might be a hookup for some of our families and students.
Right.
so is there a quarterly evaluation of progress or, okay.
There's a daily evaluation of
We
progress.
wouldn't need, but there's like, you use the quarters or the semesters.
Sure.
right? So that would,
But it also would apply to the students' ability to participate in sports. If they were failing in a class in the standard legacy school,
Correct.
they have
So
to
our
have a way.
terminology would be that they're not completing their learning targets.
Mhm.
So therefore, that would be flagged and they would, the same process would apply. It's just,
Yeah.
the terminology is
Yeah, I
different.
would not get too specific on that. I would leave that up to the lead teacher because
Yes.
just remember in Venture Academy, every single kid will have a different plan.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you will not be able to universally say,
Right.
Yeah. Correct.
But
And
if the
perhaps it might
process-
just be simple as that, like lead educator or something of ABA.
I would just put that Mr. Robertson would consult with leadership of ABA and determine eligibility.
But those are issues that we're gonna have to be tweaking and finding because it's a lot easier to think it through before something happens
Yeah.
than when it does. Okay. I don't even remember, I don't think we got a motion and a second yet. You started talking first, so. Well, can I have
How
a
dare you,
motion?
Dan?
Can I have a motion?
Sure, as long as it's taken care of. I will move.
I'll
Okay.
second.
All right, and that includes the revisions that we talked about.
Yes.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to approve the milk bid as presented.
Madam President,
Yes.
I make a motion that I'm looking at the bread first, so we'll go with the bread first, is that okay with you?
Sure. For you, Dave, we'll rearrange the agenda items. The bread bid, what did you like to say? You're moving to approve it?
Yes, yes, they're very reasonable on what they're increasing with inflation and what wheat is doing out in the field. That's a good price, and I think we should get it locked in. So I make a motion, we accept Panagold bid for 21-22.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Dave, seconded by Ann. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now we'll go back to the milk bid. I need a motion to approve the milk bid as presented.
Also move.
Oh, second.
Have a motion by Ann, second by Joanne. Any questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the Wisconsin Model Academic Standards for the 2021-2022 school year.
I so move.
I second.
Motion made by Joanne, seconded by Jennifer. Questions or discussion? Anything to add? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a
Madam,
motion.
Madam President,
Yes, Dave.
on the previous motion for milk, I didn't hear, maybe it's me, but I didn't hear whether it was Dean's Food or the one that appeared that we were gonna go with.
That we did not specify the name. Are you suggesting we have the name specified in the motion? It was the only bid we had.
Well, you got,
Isn't it, Jason?
yeah, I'm looking at it wrong, I'm sorry. I apologize, I'm looking at it wrong.
So it's okay the way we did the motion then?
Yes,
All right. Then I will go back to item 11. I need a motion to approve optional masking and other recommendations from July 20th, 2021 Policy and Practice Committee meeting.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Joanne. Questions or discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Again? Motion carries. I need a motion to request, and I don't need a motion, I need any requests for future agenda items. The one would be approving the resolution for our mental health position that we want to send on. Any other requests? All right, then I need a motion to go into executive session under Wisconsin statute 19.85, subsections 1, C, E, F, and I for the purpose of personnel matters, hires, staffing, resignations.
I so move.
I'll second.
Motion made by Jennifer, seconded by Joanne. These are roll call votes. Dave? Dave? Are you still there? Mick, are you there?
Yes. Yes, I'm here. Yes.
All right. So I'll start with you then. Mick, yes. Jennifer?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Yes. I also say yes. Dave, are you hearing us or did the line cut out? Well, we have a majority, so motion carries.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for coming. We are now finished.